You know, growing up, I had a lot of cartoons that I grew attached to. While there's been plenty that I've forgotten about over the years due to one reason or another, others have just stuck with me all these years later. And one of those cartoons, the 2004 cartoon Danny Phantom. Having run for 3 seasons and 53 episodes total, the show has gained quite the cult following in recent years, with many fans attributing it to its premature cancellation. I can't tell you how many countless times I've seen people rally for the show to come back in some sort of way, shape, or form. Frankly, given its quality, I can't say I blame them. Of course, I'm not here to argue about whether it should or should not come back. I'm only here to riff on and analyze the 53 episodes that this show gave us during its initial run. So, if everyone's ready, welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and others, to the Idiot's Guide to Danny Phantom. Season 1. Yeah, I'm still going to split the videos up into individual seasons. While this show has far fewer episodes than Star vs. the Forces of Evil, 53 is still quite a handful, and I'd like to keep these videos under an hour if possible, so let's see how that goes, shall we? Let's begin by meeting our main cast for this show. First, there's Tucker Foley, the nerdy character of the group that loves technology and gadgets. Next is Sam Manson, the rebellious goth girl who also happens to be rich, who has a major crush on our main lead. And who I'm sure was a lot of people's first cartoon crushes. Myself included. And of course, our main lead himself, Danny Fenton, the 14-year-old boy that life decided to hand a shit platter. See, on a random day of exploration, Danny decided to enter his family's ghost portal, as it's called, and got trapped inside, giving him ghost powers. Oh yeah, he's also half dead apparently. Real fun time for him. So the ghost portal is this invention that allows the human world to get into contact with what's called as the ghost world, or rather the ghost zone. And frequently throughout the series, various ghosts come through this portal to terrorize the humans, and Danny has to stop them. Now his parents are unprofessional ghost hunters, and no, I didn't say that incorrectly. These guys are fucking terrible at their jobs. And honestly, that's a good thing, because if they were good at their jobs, Danny would be dead. But of course, like every superhero cliche ever, Danny doesn't tell his parents that he has ghost powers now, because he fears retribution from them. So now he has to balance being a normal teenager with being a ghost-powered superhero. So it's like Spider-Man, except a little cooler, actually. Also, can I just mention how freaking kick-ass this theme song is? Seriously, it's one of the best ones I've ever heard.
Young Danny Phantom, he was just 14 when his parents built a very strange machine. It was designed to view a world unseen.
Hell, even the prototype theme song that they were going to use originally is still pretty awesome.
A kid whose life has changed, molecules rearranged, ghosts are so deranged.
As you can imagine, being a teenager with ghost powers, living in a family of obsessive ghost hunters, tends to be incredibly stressful for Danny.
A ghost is near. Walk forward. Ghost located. Thank you for using the Fenton Finder.
What? Oh, that can't be right.
Oh, and of course I can't forget Jazz.
Sweetie, I know what we do doesn't make sense sometimes, but you're only
16. Biologically, but psychologically, I'm an adult, and I will not allow your insane obsession with ghosts to pollute the mind of this impressionable little child. Come, you abused, unwanted...
What the f*** are you talking about? Was that even English?
So, how does our first episode begin? Well, apparently Sam made a move to change the lunch menu.
Thanks again for making us eat garbage, Sam.
It's not garbage. It's recyclable organic matter.
It's garbage.
See, Sam, they're not mad that this grass on a bun meal thing, whatever the hell it is on the menu. They're mad that it's the only thing on the menu, you stupid hippie. And now we get to meet our first ghost for the series, the lunch lady.
But I don't see the meatloaf. Did someone change the menu?
Yeah, she did.
You changed the menu has been the same for 50 years!
I have so many...
I don't understand!
So my question is, why the hell do you care so much? As far as you're concerned, this is just a random school. Did you used to work here? Is this where you died? Is that how this works? Also, get a load of the response Sam gives to nearly getting cooked to death by this sociopathic lunch lady ghost.
This is the thanks I get for thinking like an individual?
At this point, Mr. Reynolds, I'm convinced you have a learning disability.
The only thing that has an expiration date here is you! Whoops.
I didn't mean to do that.
He's gonna die.
Probably.
So throughout the episode, I should mention that Tucker and Sam have this really ridiculous beef over whether it's better to be a vegetarian or a meat lover. I honestly find this beef to be very annoying. Yes, it technically ties into the theme of the episode, but it's just really tedious and I don't care. There's another subplot that's somehow both more stupid but more entertaining, where Jack is questioning whether or not he and Maddie are good at ghost hunting and consider giving it up, and it really climaxes at this scene where he's convinced that his own daughter is a ghost, not Danny, the son. What the fuck?
Jack, Danny is not a ghost.
You're right. Jazz is.
Boy, you might be legally retarded.
But thankfully, both of these subplots get some resolution in the climax of the episode, with Jack being reaffirmed in his status as a good ghost hunter, and Sam and Tucker coming to an understanding, of course. The action in the show is pretty damn good, too, and the first episode might be a little bit weak, but I can chalk that up to the show getting its bearings. It gets a lot better as the series goes on. The only other notable thing about this episode is the introduction of the school bully, Dash Baxter, who has not only completely peaked in high school, but is self-aware of the fact that he's completely peaked in high school.
These are the best years of my life. After high school, it's all downhill for me.
You know, being self-aware that you're bad doesn't make you less bad, just means that you don't care that you're bad.
How am I supposed to enjoy my glory days eating mud?
Actually, it's topsoil.
Oh my god, who the hell cares?
So in this episode, we're introduced to Paulina, the popular girl of the school, and Danny's crush until later in the series where he gets a few more brain cells. As per the cliche, Paulina initially shows no interest in Danny whatsoever. That is, until he gives her a gift, and then she immediately changes tune. Yeah, see this amulet? We'll come back to that. Oh, but get this! According to Paulina, the only reason she agreed to go out with Danny at all is because she thought she was stealing him from Sam.
I only agreed to go out with him because I thought I was stealing him from you.
What?
So back to the amulet for a second. In the beginning of the episode, there's a confrontation between Danny and this dragon ghost thing, who shows up wearing this amulet. Danny knocks it off of it, and the amulet accidentally falls into Danny's backpack, which he doesn't realize until he gives it to Paulina. And then the dragon ghost transforms back into this medieval princess ghost thing. Okay, on the side, through a combination of shenanigans and happenstance, Jack Fenton, Danny's father, ends up becoming the chaperone to the upcoming school dance. So this episode also introduces us to another one of Danny's ghost powers, the power to, quote, overshadow, unquote, someone. Basically, he controls all their thoughts and words while he's overshadowing them. But he can't replicate their voice. And Danny uses this power to take over Jack's body, so he never actually has to tell his father that he has a parent-teacher conference with one of the teachers, Mr. Lancer.
See you Friday. Or, as the kids say, catch you later, G.
No.
So anyways, Paulina gives Sam the amulet back, and Sam gets pissed and transforms into a dragon. Well, Paulina's dead. Okay, no, not really, because here comes Danny Phantom to the rescue! He manages to subdue Sam and remove the amulet, and now everything's fine again, I guess.
Did I have fun at the dance?
Well, let's just say you had a roaring time.
Boo!
Promise me you'll keep your pants up.
I'll do my best.
I have several questions.
Congratulations, Danny! You're failing biology!
So much for the Fittons being a family of geniuses.
Fuck you.
Hey, but it's okay, because Danny can bring his grade up with an extra credit report.
On this magnificent creature.
A purple-back gorilla.
Yep, extremely rare. Only 2 left, both male. After this, they're gone forever, which is why you are going to prove he deserves to be set free.
I don't have time.
Stop the film.
Didn't you just say that there are only 2 of these animals left in existence? Wouldn't setting them free not increase their chances of getting picked off? Also, as you mentioned, both of the remaining gorillas are male, so I don't think there's going to be any mating going on here. Can these things procreate asexually? Is that a thing? Why is this a legitimate question?
I don't understand!
I'll do it. But first... Boys hugging makes every yearbook funny.
Casual homophobia, ladies and gentlemen. Brought to you by the man that created your childhood. This episode also marks the debut of Skulker, a hunter that prides himself on successfully capturing rare and unique creatures. As you might have guessed, Danny is his #1 target.
The human ghost child in its natural habitat. I am Skulker, a collector of things rare and unique. And you, ghost child, are that and more.
So here I am just wondering how the news of Danny's accident in the ghost portal even got to people in the ghost zone. Like, how did that happen? Does the ghost zone have its own CNN or something? Oh, and it turns out that Tucker's PDAs, his personal digital assistants, are ghost compatible.
What? Fly to library. Get a book on eating habits of purple-backed gorilla. Oh, stop!
What the hell is going on?
Oh, and meanwhile, there's a subplot where Maddie gets an interview with Genius Magazine, and Jazz sees it as an opportunity to show that her parents are actually normal people and not crazy lunatics that hunt ghosts, despite the fact that they completely are lunatics who hunt ghosts. I bring this up since Danny's fight with Skulker in the house ends up clashing with the subplot in the middle of the episode.
Danny? This is Connie from Genius Magazine.
Don't you people ever knock? Jazz is going to kill me for that.
I'm gonna kill him for that. Brooding, messy, reclusive. Now those are the signs of a true genius. Oh, if only he were a woman.
Oh, goody! Casual sexism! Let's add that into the mix! You know, I think if we're all being honest, the warning signs for Butch were always there. We just let it slide because he was making stuff that was still good and not complete dog shit like he was later on in his career. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so throughout the episode, Tucker has been using his PDA to keep Danny on schedule so he can bring his grade up. When Skulker stole the PDA away from Tucker and integrated it into his system, he also inherited Danny's entire schedule, and apparently because of how it was set up, Skulker can't deprogram it, so he's basically tethered to Danny's schedule, and every time that the PDA goes off, he flies off to the next location, and he can't do shit about it. Which actually results in a very amusing cat and mouse game that goes on just long enough to not overstay its welcome. Of course, this culminates at the zoo once again, where they once and for all defeat Skulker with the help of Samson the purple-back gorilla, who beats the living hell out of Skulker.
But I still don't understand why a ghost needed a high-tech battle suit.
Let me go! I am the Skulker! The Skulker! Do you hear me? Hear me!
Yeah, so apparently the Skulker we've been seeing all episode was just a mecha suit of sorts, and the real Skulker ghost is this little shit blob. Sure, okay. Oh, it also turns out that Samson was actually a female gorilla the entire time.
That's all I got done, then that's... Oh my gosh!
Brooding genius Daniel Fenton did what no other researcher dared to do. Got close enough to this rare purple-backed gorilla to realize Samson was actually a Delilah. Nobody at that zoo ever bothered to see if it was a boy or a girl?
Well, when you're paying them less than minimum wage, you're going to get less than minimum wage effort, I'm just saying. And hey, Danny did manage to bring his grade up. All the way to a C.
A C? I almost get killed by a gorilla, and all I get is a C?
Congratulations! Now you're just a painfully average kid who no one understands. Wait, where have I heard that before? Meet the newest ghost to join the roster, Nikolai Technus. Or as I have cleverly coined him, Carl Weezer Boy Genius.
You're not going to use the technology in this lab to take over the world!
What? That's a great idea!
You're an idiot.
Clever segue into the episode's main plot, where Danny has to host a garage sale in order to raise money. Why does he need to raise money? Because he needs to buy a very hip, very expensive outfit. Why does he need to buy the outfit? Because he's been invited to a party hosted by Dash Baxter. Why was he invited to a party hosted by Dash Baxter? Because Jazz blackmailed his ass. Why did she blackmail Dash's ass? Because she saw him bully her younger brother. Why did he decide to bully her younger brother in front of her during a tutoring session? Because the Kool-Aid Man is red. I don't fucking know. So yeah, mixed with the action, it's your standard main character learns that popularity ain't all it's cracked up to be. You know who your true friends are kind of story. It's standard, but it's perfectly serviceable. I do find Danny's apology at the end of the episode to be very sincere. Although, let's be honest with ourselves. If we had the chance to join the popular clique on a whim, we totally fucking would. Am I forgetting anything? Oh yeah, turns out Sam is filthy rich.
If you flash a little of that bling bling, you'd be Miss Popularity.
I don't need popularity, Tucker, especially not if I have to buy it.
And that is exactly why you will lose every single election you ever run for. Oh, don't give me that look. We all know Sam would run for office of some kind in the future. Why is it in these stories that the main character that always gets bullied gets vilified for giving the bully a taste of their own medicine? It might just be a me thing, but that trope can go die in hell. So yeah, Danny decides to screw around with Dash for a while, and after a few practical jokes, this happens.
Hey, I'm free! Finally, the doorway's been opened!
What's happening here?
Okay, so let's start with who this person is. This is Sidney Poindexter, and apparently he was bullied a lot in his youth. So much so that now I guess he acts as a sort of guardian angel person to bully victims or whatever. I don't entirely understand how this works. For instance, how did he get here? See, in Danny's locker there's a mirror that apparently acts as a gateway to the world that Sidney lives in. The episode goes on to reveal that it's pretty difficult to get yourself through that mirror. So how does Sidney do it here? Is the mirror enchanted? Does it only open up if he witnesses enough bullying? But if that's the case, why does it only work when he sees Danny bullying Dash, and not all the times Dash bullied Danny, or anyone else for that matter? Why does the gateway lock again when Sidney puts Danny back in his world? And if his shtick was he was always bullied by the jocks and the popular kids back in his world, why the hell does he look so damn happy to have them accept him as Danny, but...
It just raises too many questions.
Oh, screw it. Oh wait, so apparently the gateway didn't close all the way. It only closed on Danny's side, but they could still put Sidney through on this side? What the fuck is going on? And apparently the solution for Danny to get his body back from Sidney is to bully him. Yeah, let's bully the kid that's been bullied. What the hell is going on? None of this makes any sense! Okay, no, the actual solution is to have Sidney overshadow Danny and Sidney's body so Danny can get his own body back. But like, why would they go this route? Why would they solve a bullying problem with more bullying? Is it supposed to be a joke? A commentary or something? Because for as much as I love this show and a lot of Butch Hartman's work, it doesn't seem quite self-aware enough to pull that off. I mean, I just feel like a better solution would have been to counteract bullying with kindness or something, show a little kindness his way and convince his old classmates to do the same, follow suit, but I guess that's just me. Like Attack of the Killer Garage Sale, this episode is perfectly fine. There's nothing in it that's really bad, but it's definitely not one that I go to immediately. You know, it's just kind of there. Like Danny's parents in this episode. They really don't have a reason to be in this episode, except to introduce those gloves that Sam and Tucker use later on to help defeat Sidney. But other than that, not really. Anyway, next. Couple of new introductions in the first few minutes of the episode. A new ghost by the name of Desiree, who grants people's every wish and causes chaos, you know, like a genie, and Danny gets a new ghost power, what has been dubbed the Ectoblast.
What the heck? That's the cool thing about your powers, man. There's no downside.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
I don't know, Tucker. I mean, he has to hide his powers from his parents and everyone else for fear that he'll be judged, belittled, berated, hunted, or murdered. And that's not even to mention the fact that it's only been a couple of months at this point in time since the accident that gave him his powers. For all you know, he's slowly dying. So, yeah, I think your statement on there being no downsides is a little bit incorrect. Also, breaking news! Jack and Maddie have actually invented a ghost-catching device that works! Everyone give them a round of fucking applause! So as you can imagine, Desiree kind of derps around and screws up shit. Like turning Paulina into this... whatever the hell you call it.
Why squander my popularity here? I'm so adorable.
No, you're not.
Which culminates with Desiree giving Tucker, of all people, ghost powers, which actually opens up a very interesting dichotomy between him and Danny. See, this episode explores the idea that Tucker's actually jealous of Danny and his ghost powers, and constantly feels left out because Danny has to keep running off to fix shit.
This town's big enough for more than one ghost kid.
Yeah, try saying that after you spend 5 minutes trying to get away from Danny's parents trying to hunt you. This all culminates in the climax where Danny and Tucker actually do get out with each other. So apparently, if Danny doesn't get Tucker's ghost side out of him in time, he's gonna stay like this forever. So, yeah, the stakes are kind of high. Also, if you're gonna spoof Dragon Ball, at least commit to the bit. This stance is amateur. Hey, remember the ghost catcher invention that we see earlier in the episode? Well, it kinda cleverly comes back into play here, as Danny uses it to split Tucker from his ghost side.
You were under the genie spell, and you broke it.
Yeah, but none of that would have happened if I wasn't jealous.
Or if I had been a little less of a show-off around you. Friends?
The best.
And the episode ends with Danny and Tucker catching a cold together. Oh yeah, Sam wasn't a part of this episode because she spent most of it having a cold herself. I'd like to think that this scene right here was a subtle nod to Attack of the Killer garage sale, where it was revealed that Sam was actually rich. I mean, how else could she afford 3 nurses and her own personal doctor, right? There was also Desiree's backstory, which is actually pretty damn interesting, and I won't spoil it here, as well as how Danny actually defeats Desiree later on in the episode, which is honestly the funniest scene in the whole damn thing.
I wish you would disappear inside this thermos!
What? No! I must obey!
Congratulations, you played yourself.
If I weren't a C student, I would have thought of that 5 days ago.
You were literally too stupid to insult.
This episode introduces us to the best villain in the entire series. Well, the best regular villain of the entire series. Vlad Masters, an old college friend of Jack and Maddie's who spent the last 20 years in bitter solitude, all because the woman he loved dearly chose Jack over him. He got ghost powers due to an accident at Jack's hands, and he can't buy the green pay packers for himself. Oh yeah, did I mention that Vlad is actually half ghost now? Hell, it gets its own backstory-focused episode in Season 2, so we'll touch more on that when we get to that video. But yeah, the long and short of it is, Vlad has spent the last 20+ years becoming bitter about it. And his ultimate goal in life is to get revenge on Jack and steal Maddie, the love of his life, away from him. And yes, you heard me correctly, 20 years. When Danny encounters the ghost version of Vlad Masters for the first time, Vlad absolutely demolishes Danny's ass. Sure, up to this point in the series, we've seen Danny have his share of struggles against ghost enemies, but this took it all the way up to 11. You felt your own ass kicked by the time it was over. And this all culminates in the climax of the episode with a kick-ass rematch between Danny and Vlad after Vlad tried to use his own powers to overshadow Jack and make him look like a total fool at this big-ass party.
Nobody uses Jack Fenton as a human meat puppet!
That line is just so stupid, and yet I love it. So at the end of it, Danny threatens to expose himself and Vlad to everyone out there unless he agrees to a truce. And as I'm watching this scene, I'm just wondering, how much does Danny actually believe himself? Like, if he were to be exposed right then and there as half-ghost, did he really believe that his parents would accept him? His sister? I mean, it's the ongoing story arc of the series. There's a reason why Danny's gone to such great lengths throughout the series to conceal his identity. Though I do find it rather amusing that Vlad immediately freaks out when Danny tells him that Maddie won't accept Vlad as half-ghost. Well played, Danny. Well played. And there's one more scene I want to talk about in this episode. This one. It's late in the episode, after Danny's been captured and left to suffer while Vlad goes and tries to enact his master plan.
Well, gosh and golly, it looks like you could use a speck of help there, don't you know?
I have so many questions!
I don't even know how to respond to this.
So this here, gentlemen, is the ghost of the Dairy King, a spirit that haunts Vlad's castle. Because fuck logic, I guess. Look, to be fair, the episode does establish his existence earlier on, so this moment where he lets Danny go from his prison isn't really an asshole. But holy shit, it's just so fucking random that this guy of all people would let Danny go, especially since it's his only appearance ever in the series, that I just can't help but find it hilarious.
He's going to Arkansas to apologize? I was wrong?
Hey, remember when this was a big enough deal for Home Improvement to make an entire episode over Jill being wrong about something? Good times, wasn't it? Let's see, Jack and Maddie might actually be getting a divorce. Spoilers, they're not. Spoilers! And Danny finds himself locked up in ghost jail at the mercy of the jail's warden, known as Walker. I don't get it. Is his name supposed to be a pun or something?
I am your judge, executioner, jury, executioner, jailer, and if necessary, your executioner.
You said executioner 3 times.
I like that part of the job.
You would totally run for president if you were still alive, wouldn't you? Also, we get this really cool kick-ass team-up scene between Danny and all of the ghosts that he's beaten that are currently serving sentences in prison, and now I just have a lot of questions about how this works. Why are they all in prison? So, like, who actually runs things in the ghost zone? Is it Walker? Does he control everything? Is it Danny by proxy? The implication seems to be that the place runs itself by everyone just doing their thing, so then why would you need a prison to hold effect?
just raises too many questions.
The episode also introduces us to the concept that while in the human world ghosts can phase through objects, in the ghost world, humans can phase through objects. And Danny uses that knowledge to not only escape Walker's wrath, but also to retrieve the present that Jack was going to give Maddie as an apology when he assumed that she was going to divorce him when, once again, that's not the case. So what actually was the case? Well, in the beginning of the episode, Maddie mentions something about a divorce and going to visit her sister, and, well, just watch.
Surprise!
A party for the 10th anniversary of my divorce! You remembered!
I have no idea what's going on.
So if she throws a party every single year to celebrate her divorce, that must have been one hell of a nasty marriage. Also, I love how Jazz freaks out in this episode about being wrong about something for once in her life, when she was wrong about ghosts being real in the first episode.
Thanks for the thermos!
Ha! Ghost Kid! I was right! You were wrong! Ghosts exist!
Congratulations, you want a trophy? You know, part of me kind of wishes that the show had actually taken a deeper look into Danny's psyche. See, the premise of the episode is built upon the idea that Jazz thinks Danny is depressed because of the accident in his lab that gave him ghost powers. And the more I think about it, the more I realize how fascinating of a concept that is. Then again, given in recent years what's come out about Butch Hartman and how he views things such as depression and suicide, it kinda makes me glad that the show didn't go that deep into the subject. It would have fucked it up eventually. I mean, for crying out loud, one of the ways that the villain of the episode tries to get Danny to, quote, cheer up, unquote, is by putting him in a baby suit and letting him be laughed at by his contemporaries. To be fair, this is pushed by the antagonist of the episode, and I'm fairly certain we're supposed to condemn this behavior. But given what has come out about Butch Hartman in recent years, especially since he left Nickelodeon, it's hard for me to go back and rewatch this episode from a positive perspective. As for the episode itself, we mark the debut of another ghost named Spectra. A ghost who keeps her human form looking young by feeding off the depression of teenagers, and no, I am not making that up. She also has an assistant by the name of Bertrand, and I'm pretty sure these two are banging behind the scenes. I admit, I don't like this episode more for what it could have been than for what it actually is. What it is perfectly fine. Spectra basically turns every teenager in the high school into a depressed maniac, which, to be fair, it's high school. You don't really need to try that hard to accomplish that. Also, Spectra and Bertrand plan to kill Jazz, who's giving a speech at the pep rally, while she's standing on the podium giving said speech. Also, Jazz finds out that Danny is half ghost.
Fucking what?
Yep. I love this frame. Look at that. He's looking right in the direction of the door where Jazz is looking out at him. He should be able to fucking see her. What the hell? This scene shouldn't be happening.
I don't understand!
I do still think overall that the episode is worth a watch. The biggest selling point for me personally is how the relationship between Jazz and Danny is displayed, outside of Jazz finding out that Danny is half ghost. She really goes out of her way to look after her little brother, and it's really sweet. Equally as sweet is how Danny stands up for Jazz when he's getting pounced on by Spectra. He really goes to bat for Jazz, and it's great to see. Although this scene right here where Danny has his rage-filled power-up really isn't as badass looking as I think the people who boarded this scene thought it would look. And you know what? I really like the last scene too.
Your disappearing act worked marvelously. They've got their spirit back.
They're not the only ones, Mr. Lancer. They're not the only ones.
Congratulations, Danny! You're officially a homewrecker! Take a goddamn bow, you asswipe! So the short version of this is, Danny's ghost hunting antics ruin the lives of one of his classmates and her father. This classmate, Valerie Gray, swears revenge on ghosts, and Danny's arch nemesis Vlad Plasmius takes advantage of it, and slowly but surely starts slipping her equipment for her to use to hunt and kill ghosts. There's also this adorable ghost dog that keeps popping up in the episode, and apparently it's connected to Valerie's father's job or something. I don't really know. This is one of the episodes where I really appreciate the lore that it introduces into the series, more than I actually like its substance. And it's not a bad episode, it's just there. I do like how it establishes Valerie as an antagonist to Danny, though. That opens up a lot of good possibilities for stories in the future. And certainly, there's a lot of great material that comes from this. Oh yeah, Danny and Sam, they kiss or whatever. They have a makeout session. Or as they cleverly put it,
was a fake-out makeout.
Smooth, guys, real smooth. Time for a new ghost yet again. Enter Ember McLean, who utilizes her guitar skills and status as a pop star to form a cult of worship around her and take over the world.
Of course!
Oh, and the episode title, Fanning of Flames? Completely appropriate.
I want to be over there.
Wait, I know that look. That's that same longing puppy dog stare you give Paulina.
Who's Paulina?
That's a pleasant side effect.
Fuck you.
Yeah, Ember puts Danny under a love spell, so now he's going to spend the majority of the episode drooling over Sam, and therefore be completely distracted from his ghost fighting duties.
Can you watch something besides me?
Danny, if you're going to do what I think you're going to do, please find a bathroom to do it. It's only polite. Also, you want to know how Sam breaks the curse on Danny? She kisses Dash! No, seriously!
Get in. Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
It does snap him out of it, though, and it enables him to kick Ember's ass all over the stage. Until she gets the upper hand and Danny is forced to turn to Tucker of all people for help.
Wait, you want me to sing? You said I stink.
Yeah, but he said that on opposite day, so it doesn't count.
Ember! One thing remains! Ember!
Brother, this guy stinks!
You will remember my name!
How the hell did you morons not notice that that clearly wasn't Ember doing the singing? Not just in physical appearance, but in sound of voice? Do you all have the intelligence of a peanut? Also, that flame on Ember's head, it's apparently indicative of her popularity and her power level, which I actually think is a nice little detail. Also, I absolutely love the fact that while all of this bullshit with Ember is going on, there's apparently this super important standardized test that's going to be happening very soon. And the only thing Mr. Lancer gives a shit about is how big his bonus is going to be.
One student's perfect score did manage to bring the entire school average up. And that's good news for my bonus.
Instead of 10 cents on the dollar for his bonus, he'll be paid 11! Okay, I'd say that teachers are criminally underpaid, but even that's not doing it justice. What the fuck? So yeah, there's a lot to this episode, but I really love it. I almost want to go out and say that this is my favorite episode of the first season, but we still have 8 more to go after this. And there's some funny and interesting shit coming up, so here we go. Let's see, am I forgetting anything before I move on? Oh yeah, how about the fact that Mr. Lancer actually called the fucking SWAT team on his kids just to bring them back to their houses to study for the test? What the hell?
You will now be returned to your homes to await parental punishment.
You can eliminate all of the suitors you want, but Ember is still never going to go out with you, dude. Did you ever have that video game when you were younger where you just loved playing it so much you couldn't put it down, and by the time you actually came back to your senses, you looked at the clock and you realized it's time to get up for school? Yeah, that's this episode in a nutshell. In addition to his ghost fighting duties, Danny shoots himself in the foot by spending 2 nights playing a stupid-ass video game, which ultimately causes him to fail a very important test. Wait, this is the second episode in a row where there's a very important test in play in the episode. You couldn't have spaced him out? And because Danny is apparently in a family of geniuses, his parents tell him that until he aces the test with flying colors, he's banned from all electronic devices, including his precious video game. And what a coincidence! It just so happens that Technus, the villain from the garage sale episode, is back and attempting to use this new video game to try to take over the world somehow. I don't fucking know. So apparently the objective of the game is to collect 7 silver keys that are scattered throughout the levels, and if they put them in a door located in the final level, they gain, quote, access to the World Wide Web, unquote. I have no idea what the fuck that means.
Now what exactly is the purpose of this skill contest?
To defeat all foes, reach level 13, and retrieve the 7 silver keys to the apocalypse.
And what happens after that?
Gain ultimate power and access to the World Wide Web!
That cleared up exactly none of my confusion on this. Thank you very much, show. Also, only 13 levels? I'm not paying $60 for that shit. No thank you. Also, more casual sexism. Brought to us by the man that created our childhood.
I'm Ghost Boy. I'm Friar Tuck. We don't need your help because you're a girl.
So, unbeknownst to Danny or Tucker, Sam was also playing this online game as a character named Chaos, but she didn't tell either of them because Surprise, surprise, they were sexist fuckheads. More so Tucker than Danny. Once again, I'm fairly certain with how it's presented we're supposed to look down on this and demean Tucker for his sexist attitude. But once again, given what's come out about Butch Hartman in recent years, it's hard to really know either way. Holy shit, the more you look into it, the worse Butch Hartman's stuff ages. We also get some bonding time between Danny and Mr. Lancer, something that I didn't even know that I wanted, which ultimately pays off in the end when Danny aces the retest. And then the episode kind of ruins it.
Ah, the old I don't get to see my sister speech gets him every time. Why don't they ever realize that's me in a dress?
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
You know what? The less I say about this, the better. Also, pay up, Jackie boy.
It's Tucker.
He's busy!
11 minutes later.
Not an idiot. See ya!
I should give him his phone back.
Spectres and Halloween. A seeming match made in heaven. It's not really. Yes, ghosts are a staple of Halloween, but the show already prominently features ghosts, so it doesn't really feel like the episode is adding anything new to the table. Not even the Fright Night, the villain introduced in this episode, is really doing much for me. That really doesn't happen until a Season 2 episode, and that's only because he ends up playing second fiddle to an even better villain. So Danny and Dash have to participate in this haunted house building contest. It's a punishment for them getting caught, quote, fighting on school grounds, where the winner gets to avoid detention. And the only reason Danny ends up losing in the end is because of plot armor. Also, just as an aside, yes, it does fucking matter who started the fight. Or are you really arguing that the victim deserves to be punished for being victimized? Can we just fucking drop that cliche once and for all?
You gotta put the sword back in a pumpkin!
A pumpkin? There are no pumpkins in the room. No pumpkins in the room. It's Halloween. What am I, an idiot?
Yes.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
Yes, the episode titled 13 is in fact not the 13th episode to air this season. It's the 14th episode. Why? Because God forbid we premiere a Halloween-themed episode outside of October, right? So I actually wasn't all that crazy about this episode when it first came around, but watching it again in preparation for this video, I've kind of warmed up to it. It's the little things that do it for me in this episode, like Danny's devotion to keeping his sister Jazz safe, not dissimilar to a way that Jazz tried to keep Danny safe in the episode My Brother's Keeper, even if it does temporarily turn him into his own father.
Suffering spooks. Suffering spooks. Oh man, I am becoming my dad!
I find the subplot amusing, where Tucker decides to change his image because he's sick of being made fun of for being a geek. Unfortunately, he decides to go the goth path because he's stupid or something. The opening's pretty solid. It's basically a gauntlet of ghosts that Danny has to fight because, well, basically Jack is being Jack.
I told you this genetic lock was a great invention.
You're an idiot.
Of course, there are a couple of things I have to complain about. For one, the subplot kind of ends a little bit weirdly for me.
Time for the ultimate goth accessory.
That's not the weird part.
Hey, you never really wanted me to go goth, did you?
Duh, goth's my thing.
First of all,
fuck you.
Second of all, why was there only one thing attempted? Like, the whole purpose of Tucker's subplot is to try out different cliques, so to speak, because he's sick of being labeled as bad luck for his technology obsession. So, why was there only one other identity shown? I enjoy the subplot for what it is, but I feel like it would have been a lot stronger had Tucker gone through various phases instead of just goth. But that's just me, and it doesn't take away from the episode overall. So we're also introduced to 3 new ghosts: Johnny 13, his girlfriend Kitty, and his Shadow. It's like his pet or something. While Johnny and Kitty are trying to escape the ghost zone, Kitty gets caught in between the portals and is basically stuck in this limbo mode, I guess. She's unable to survive in the human world because of this and has to retreat to the ghost zone. So she cloaks her ring and her clothes in her essence, I guess, and Johnny's job is to find a human girl to put these clothes on her so Kitty can assume that form, I guess.
I'm trying to find the right girl for you to take over. I mean, if I've got to look at her face for all eternity, I want to make sure I like it, dig?
Speaking of being uncomfortable looking at things for a long period of time, what the fuck is going on with this face? I'll give you one good guess as to who Johnny picks. Too late, it's Jazz, because of course it is.
I bet you're the kind of guy that would fuck a person in the ass and not even have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
Congratulations, Walker. You have launched a successful campaign to oust Vlad Masters as biggest asshole of the year. Not only do you fuck around aimlessly with Amity Park and its citizens, but you successfully turned Danny Phantom into public enemy #1. No, seriously, that's the plot of this episode. And it fucking works! Kind of a significant status quo change, if I would say. Oh, and that's not even mentioning the animal abuse. Look how Walker tortures this poor wolf with this collar that shocks him every time he misbehaves.
You've outlived your usefulness, Wolf. Goodbye.
That collar, it's hurting him.
No! Really?
As you can imagine, this is payback from Walker for Danny releasing all of his prisoners. What a classy turn, don't you think? This also may very well be a me thing, but this episode gives me weird feelings. See, if you notice the animation in the second half of the episode, it looks great. The action is top-notch, the impacts of the blasts and hits are felt, and yet it looks so fugly on still images. What the hell? Maybe it was trying for a stylistic image, maybe they just ran out of money for the animation, I don't know. It looks great in motion, but really wonky on stills. This isn't the only episode to feature this kind of look to it, but I definitely think this is the worst that it looks in the series.
How'd you guys get in? The shield's still up.
Hey, it's a ghost shield, not a human shield.
Should I talk slower or go get a nurse who speaks fluent moron?
There's also this scene that honestly still kind of confuses me.
I'm calling for a vote to cede all ghost policing and security decisions to Maddie Fenton. I mean Jack Fenton. The completely competent Jack Fenton.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Okay, so if Walker's plan is to pretty much turn Danny into public enemy #1, why would you put the clearly incompetent Jack Fenton in charge of operations to capture or kill him? This is clearly Walker possessing the mayor, and based on his delivery, it's obvious he understands that Jack is the less competent one between him and Maddie. So, why are you going with him and not Maddie? Wouldn't this have worked better if it was reversed? What am I not seeing here?
I don't understand!
Wait, didn't we just have an episode featuring Johnny 13, Kitty, and the Shadow? Yeah, that was literally 2 episodes ago, what the hell? So Kitty and Johnny are having relationship problems, because that's totally what I want out of this show. I'll give you one guess as to who's at fault. It's Johnny, because of course it is. See, Kitty wanted to make Johnny jealous and decided to use Danny as a pawn, overshadowing Paulina and using his secret as half-ghost to basically blackmail him and fuck her over. Not that way.
Danny? You're the ghost boy?
So as a result of Danny dating Paulina right now, we get a weird subplot where he becomes inoculated with the cool kids, and one of them has to leave because there's no room apparently. Yeah, that person turns out to be this character named Quan, who ends up becoming friends with Sam and Tucker. It's weird. It's not unfunny, but it's like, I don't know. I think others will find it a lot more funny than I did. Oh well. Anyways, by the end of the episode, Paulina doesn't actually remember that Danny is the ghost boy, but she ends up falling madly in love with said ghost boy, despite not knowing that it's Danny. So that's a fun wrinkle, isn't it?
Paulina's still in love, but with the wrong me.
Welcome back to the fold, fellow loser.
Oh yeah, didn't we already also have an episode where Danny gets in with the popular kids and abandons Sam and Tucker for greater pastures, only to come crawling back at the end of the episode? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. You know, it's not really the best sign for your show if you're still in your first season and then already you're repeating yourself.
Close up!
Vlad! Good to see you again, old friend. How you been? Conjuring up some evil schemes to take down Danny and win back Maddie? Well, it's more of the same old, but hey, more Vlad is more good, isn't it? That said, I think most of the interesting stuff comes from the subplot, or one of them at least, that focuses on the relationship between Danny and his mother Maddie. See, Danny was going to use the weekend to train his ghost power so he can get strong enough to take on Vlad without getting his ass handed to him 50 times over. But then Vlad's plan kicks in, inviting Maddie and Danny to a fake science symposium so he can crash their plane, invite them to his cabin, and then try to win Maddie over, I guess. I'm sorry, did you have a plan? No, seriously, it feels like Vlad's plan consisted of them just getting to his cabin just so he could try to ask Maddie to stay with him and leave Jack. And that's it. First of all, where's the subtlety? Second of all, you didn't have a backup plan in case that didn't work? Third of all,
you're an idiot.
No, really. He just bluntly asks Maddie to abandon Jack and stay with him, and she rightfully leaves.
Bye, Vlad. And as a lonely single man in your 40s, might I suggest internet dating or a cat?
Mark my words, Maddie, nobody says no to Vlad Masters. You will rue the day that you spurned my affection, and I will not get a cat!
Wow, dude. What did cats ever do to you? Wait, I had a point. What was I? Oh, yeah! The relationship between Danny and his mother. So yeah, I think this episode does a really good job of showcasing Maddie and Danny's relationship. She thinks Danny's drifting away from her, and in a way he is, just not for the reasons that she thinks. And this episode does a fantastic job of showcasing just how strong their bond really is. That said though, I can't help but wonder what these episodes would have been like had the parents known about Danny's secret from the very beginning. With that context lingering in the back the entire time, it just gives this episode a whole new perspective for me. Just imagine what they could have done with these characters had they gone in that route. There's another subplot where Jack basically takes on Jazz as his apprentice while Maddie and Danny are away. And I gotta admit, I find this subplot to be incredibly charming. I think Jazz and Jack have really good chemistry with each other. Don't take that the wrong way, please. And hey, it's not just the main plot that gets a good action scene. We get to see Jazz kick some ghost ass here. I'm not sure if this was intentional foreshadowing for what we would get with Jazz next season, but I love this scene nonetheless. And hey, Danny gets a clean win off of Vlad. Granted, this is the equivalent of using cheat codes to beat the final boss, but hey, if Vlad's gonna always play dirty, why should Danny not play dirty, right?
Ah! You little rat! You tricked me!
Congratulations, you played yourself.
You know, Danny, maybe if you had done a better job following up on Valerie and her family situation, considering that it is your fucking fault that her family's life went down the crapper in the first place, you wouldn't have been so damn quick to call her lazy. You would have actually realized, hey, maybe she decided to take a couple of part-time jobs to help her dad earn some money. But no, you decided to be a fucking dumbass, and now here we are.
Wow, this is like the worst job ever. I didn't know this is the job you were talking about.
That's because you never bothered to get to know me.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm supposed to be the good guy.
You're not just wrong, you're stupid.
So Danny and Valerie are paired up in the classic project where they have to take a sack of flour home and take care of it like it's a real kid. Mostly standard stuff here. Except for the part where Tucker opens up a babysitting service for these sacks of flour, and then his mother ends up baking them all into cookies. So that happens.
Thanks, Mom.
No. Thank you, son, for picking up all that flour for me.
Also, Skulker is back! And he has an entirely new voice this time around.
I am Skulker, a collector of things rare and unique.
I can smell how near they are. Sweat, fear, and beans. One of them has had a burrito.
Really, you can't go wrong with either voice. I personally don't have a preference. Matthew St. Patrick did an excellent job in his first few appearances as Skulker, but Kevin M. Richardson is iconic. I really like how good a job this episode did of making us sympathize with Valerie's plight. Yeah, technically Danny's not wrong, Valerie wasn't pulling her weight with the project, but she kind of has legitimate reasons not to, dude. And once again, those reasons are your fault. I also love how the reason Skulker even kidnapped them in the first place was because he thought the sack of flour was actually genuinely important.
Before I destroy you both, I must know what is so valuable about this package.
It's not the package that's valuable. It's how you take care of it that counts.
Lines like these are why context is important, kids.
Dad, are you familiar with the term, stay away from my school?
Sweetie, relax. You know your dad loves you, and he doesn't mean to make your life more difficult.
I just want to point out to you again that Maddie emphatically chose this man over the lovesick billionaire. Oh, I'm not knocking her choice. It was obviously the right one. I'm just pointing out how funny this is. Speaking of our lovesick billionaire, he's back, and this time he's anonymously offering $1 million ransom for the head of Danny Phantom. Hijinks ensue. Yeah, that's this episode in a nutshell. We are introduced to the guys in white, governmental secret agents who focus on spectral activity, I guess.
We have a cleanliness breach in shoulder section Alpha. I'll fill out suit cleaning form number 87B Omega. I'll call our immediate supervisor to requisition...
Yeah, they're nowhere near as cool as these guys.
Hey, we want answers. Why did you resist a police officer?
Why are you police officers?
I blew up Malaysia.
We do get a nice insight into the relationship between Jack and Danny, after we just had an episode where we get insight into the relationship between Danny and Maddie. Of course, this only happens because Danny runs his fat mouth insulting his own father, then gets captured by his father, actually by Maddie, as a ghost, and they have to team up in order to stop Vlad Plasmius. Some good times!
You gotta help me save my family, and if you do, I'll set you free.
You just did.
You so damn stupid.
But you know what? Jack redeems himself because he absolutely kicks Vlad Plasmius' ass 3 times over, all over the damn lab. Which honestly kind of reflects poorly on you, Danny, because you got your ass handed to you 50 times over the first time you faced off against Plasmius. Meanwhile, here's your incompetent dad taking him to task in child's play, basically.
Portal to explode in 5, 4...
See, that's exactly what would happen if you don't change the ectofiltrator every 6 months.
Why do you even have this simulation on your laptop?
I think the better question is, how did he get this simulation? Did Maddie make it for him? Did he make it himself? I mean, if Jack crushing Danny's cell phone in his bare hand tells us anything, it's that Jack is not good with electronics. Also, we get some actually good foreshadowing for the next season, where Vlad comes across this skeleton key, which can basically open any realm, any door in the ghost zone, before Plasmius gets his just desserts.
Oh, butter biscuits!
And at last, we have arrived at the Season 1 finale, Control Freaks, which marks the debut of the antagonist known as Control Freak. Yeah, I'm not a fan of his shtick. Basically, he's the ringleader of this ghost-oriented circus, and he has this powerful staff that can take control of people's minds or something. He comes from a long line of family that was obsessed with ghosts or something, and apparently he has ghost envy or whatever, but we don't find that out until next season. And funny enough, he himself is not an actual ghost. And that's about as interesting as I find his character, frankly. I do find the scenes where Danny is under mind control and acting like a rebel kid pretty amusing, but honestly, that's about it in terms of Control Freak's involvement. There's also this weird thing where Danny clashes with Sam's rich parents, and it's so weird, but I laugh my ass off every time it comes up because it's just so dumb. God bless you, Danny. Never change.
Hey, Sam. I got that morbid antisocial youth CD you wanted. What? Have you heard my parents reek? That cut rocks.
You are stupid. You are stupid. And don't forget, you are stupid.
And that's it. That's all 20 episodes of the first season of Danny Phantom. The tricky part about revisiting the show is separating my nostalgia for it for what I'm seeing in front of me right now as I rewatch it for these videos. To that effect, I have to say, I think the series mostly holds up so far. Now, it is only the first season. I still have 2 seasons to go, and I am aware of the reputation the 3rd season has. Oh god, it's Star vs. the Forces of Evil all over again. But that just means I'll have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about when I eventually get there in this series. Despite criticisms I've had of some episodes this season, I can't say that there was an objectively bad episode throughout this bunch. Just weaker ones compared to the really strong ones. I'd have to say my least favorite episode is Control Freaks, and that's because I really don't buy into Control Freak and his shtick. And unlike episodes like Shades of Grey, another lesser episode, there really isn't anything set up in this particular episode that pays off in seasons to come. No, Reality Trip doesn't count because that's not paying off anything that was set up in Control Freaks. But really, if that's as bad as this season gets, then it definitely gives me hope that Seasons 2 and 3 can hold up the same level of quality as well. And I look forward to diving into those as we go along. Until that comes, thank you all for participating in this journey with me, and join me next time where I go over the 2nd season, which features 3 separate 44-minute episodes, one of which is hailed as by far the greatest episode. So come along for the Idiot's Guide to Danny Phantom Season 2. Whenever the hell that comes out. Oh, wait a minute! I just realized I never talked about the box ghost! Yeah, he first appears in the episode One of a Kind with Skulker. I'm sorry I forgot to mention that.
Beware! I am the box ghost! I have power over all containers, cardboard and square!
Yeah, I think that should suffice.
Tell me who you love! Come on, say it! Say my name! Say my name!
Your name is Toot Toot McBumbersnazzle.
See you in oblivion, Johnny.
So long, kitty. I'll miss you.
So what happens if a ghost dies a second time? Is this like Dragon Ball, where their bodies just disappear forever? Wait, this is a Butch Hartman show. Does that mean there's a hell? Do ghosts go to hell when they die a second time? Why do they go to the ghost zone first? When they just go to...
Don't ask questions you aren't prepared to handle the answer to.
Oh, okay.